ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So we will continue the Bhagavad Gita from where we left. So this is the third chapter, 21st shloka. Okay. Yad yad acharati shreshtas evetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvardhate. Translation: whatever action a great man performs, common man follow. And whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Purport: people in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra, scripture, to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard, that is Shastras. So here we see that it's a very, very important sloka. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tattad evetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. So whatever a great man performs, a common man follows. And everyone, here Prabhupada nicely mentions, everyone requires a leader, and whatever a leader performs, the common people actually follow. So the common people in themselves, it is very, very difficult for them to do something. It's always based on the strength of a powerful person. So that is how things actually happen. So most of the people in general, so they require somebody to look upon. They want to see somebody who is doing really great, and then they can follow. And here Prabhupada is mentioning, if the leader himself is not following something, he cannot inspire like um, his followers to follow that. So that is not proper, and that's not no sustainable also. And here Prabhupada is citing Lord Chaitanya, that Lord Chaitanya is giving the definition of acharya, or a teacher. If a person is to be called as a teacher or an acharya, he should first be following the scriptures, the principles of scriptures himself, and he should be an ideal person. So then only he can be called as an acharya. So, and here another aspect is mentioned: the teacher cannot cook up his own principles; he has to follow the standard scriptures. No, and then one who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. The king or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. So these are all natural leaders like school teachers, fathers, and head of a state and any leadership position where the dependents are there. So then immediately it becomes a very responsible position. So then they have to you know um, know the scriptures to guide the people. If they don't know the scriptures, they'll not be able to guide people properly. Okay, text 22. Name parthasthi karthavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nana vaptam avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani. So Krishna is telling that there is no work that is there prescribed for me. O son of Pritha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three worlds, three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I engage in prescribed duties. So here Krishna is telling his own this one. So I nobody can define any work for me. So but still I engage in some work. No, I engage in the prescribed duties. So here whatever he says, it's all very amazing philosophical truths. He's mentioning that there is no prescribed duty that is there for the Lord, and neither the Lord is want of anything, because everything that exists is his property, and it's all his energy. So there is nothing else apart from him and his energy. So what is it that like something extraneous that Krishna would like to have? Everything that exists is his only, and nor have I need to obtain anything. No, Krishna doesn't have any dissatisfaction. We saw that aspect of Krishna being the Atma Rama. He is completely self-satisfied, right? So such a person doesn't require anything. Hmm. But still, even such person, he's engaging in the prescribed duties. So Krishna is telling that Arjuna wants to go to the forest. He's telling, see, no, for you it is a duty, and for me it is not at all a duty, but still I'm doing. So what about you? You should do, right? Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in Vedic literatures as follows. Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram, Tam Devatanam Paramam Chadaivatam, Patim Patinam Paramam Parastad, Vidama Devam Bhuvaneshamidyam, Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate, Natat Samascha Cha okay, cha abhyadikascha drishyate, parasya shaktir vividaiva shuyate swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. So this slokas we had often discussed, and here is the reference that Prabhupada is citing here. Very, very amazing slokas. It says the Supreme Lord is the controller of all other controllers. Tam Ishwaram, Paramam Maheshwaram. So like of all Ishwaras, like Ishwara means controller. Of all controllers, no, he is the supreme controller, right? So Tam Ishwaranam, Paramam Maheshwaram, right? And then he is the greatest of all diverse planetary leaders. Tam Devatanam, Paramam Chadaivatam. So for all the Devatas, demigods, no, he is the leader of all of them. And then everyone is under his control. All living entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. So Patim Patinam Paramam Parasthad Vidama Devam Bhuvaneshamidyam. So it's only by him, like whatever powers we have, the power of speech, the physical strength, the mental strength, whatever capacities we may have, everything is nothing but a delegated portion of the Supreme Lord. If Krishna also mentions Yadyad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam Srimad Urjavam Evava. So like he mentions that whatever Vibhuti or whatever splendor that you are able to see in this world, it's all just because of my this one. No, it's just a spark of the splendor of the Lord. So in this way, we see that he all that we have is just a delegated power, which the Lord has very kindly given us, and He can anytime take it back also. Okay, they are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all demigods and the supreme directors of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders and controllers and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. He does not possess a bodily form like that of an ordinary living entity. There is no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. All his senses are transcendental. Any one of his senses can perform the action of any other senses. There is no one is greater than him. or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. Swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. So in this way, like the Lord's activities are quite natural because of his amazing power. Because his, all his energies work so naturally. It's like we have some energies, like phone is an energy, where it's we have purchased our phone and then we can use our phone to call somebody, but then sometimes it may not work. Sometimes the signal may not come, or sometimes the handset may hang and things like that. So it is not very swabhaviki. It doesn't. The moment I think of talking to someone, the phone immediately does some job. No, it doesn't do. And what to speak about phone, an external entity? Our own body, we desire something and the body doesn't cooperate, right? So it's like it is not swabhaviki, but the Lord's energies, all the energies of the Lord, which is spread throughout the entire creation, everything works, as a natural sequence. Lord just desires and it just happens. That's all. So in that way, like for him, everything is swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. Okay. Since everything is in full opulence in the personality of Godhead and is existing in full truth, there is no duty for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to perform. One who must receive the result of work has some designated duty. But one who has nothing to achieve within the three planetary systems certainly has no duty. And yet Lord Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra as the leader of the Kshatriyas, because the Kshatriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distressed. Although he is above all the revelations of the revealed scriptures, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scriptures. So the Lord actually protects this. So because all the great people, whatever they perform, the common people will follow. So just to protect the common people, Krishna follows all the rules and regulations. Okay, text 23. Yadi yadi hyam na vartheyam jatu karmani atindrita mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O son of Partha, um, no, O Partha, um, certainly all men would follow my path. Purport. In order to keep the balance of social tranquility for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family usages meant for every civilized man. Although such rules and regulations are for the conditioned souls and not for Lord Krishna, because he descended to establish the principles of religion, he followed the prescribed duties. Otherwise, common men would follow in his footsteps, because he is the greatest authority. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home as required of a householder. So we see in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam how Krishna was performing the ideal role of a husband, ideal role of a leader, ideal role of a father. In any role we take, like he was really, really amazing, and he did all those roles properly. And with very, very huge family, 16,108 wives, each one of them had 10 children, and each of these 10 children had 10 more children. So it was like huge, really, really very huge. So that's the personal family size of Krishna. And he exemplified all the what is it like he performed all the rules and regulations and observed all the things properly so that people may follow him. Text 24. Utsidyeyor ime lokha nakudyam karma chedaham sankarasya cha kritasyam kartasham upahanyam ima prajah. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So here, Krishna is mentioning, if I don't do, then people will not follow. People will follow my bad example. Then everything will go for ruination. Right? Purport: Varna Shankara is unwanted population which disturbs the peace of general society. In order to check this social disturbance, there are prescribed rules and regulations by which the population can automatically become peaceful and organized for spiritual progress in life. when Lord Krishna descends, naturally he deals with such rules and regulations in order to maintain the prestige and necessity of such important performances. The Lord is the father of all living entities, and if the living entities are misguided, indirectly the responsibility goes to the Lord. Therefore, whenever there is general disregard of regulative principles, the Lord Himself descends and corrects the society. We should, however, note carefully that although we have to follow in the footsteps of the Lord, we still have to remember that we cannot imitate Him. So why we cannot imitate Him? Because He is God. So sometimes He will do the activities as God, and sometimes He will set an example for us, and we have to follow what He is setting an example for us. So we cannot just imitate Him in all the ways, right? So if we try to lift Govardhan, then we will be crushed. No, if we, Agnipan, no, he actually drinks the forest fire, no. So Dava Agni, no, he just no drinks the forest fire. If we do that, no, we will be like we'll be gone, finished. So we cannot imitate him, right? So but then we have to follow, as the common, like whatever instructions Krishna has given us, and whatever other this one what like he did for teaching us, we should follow them. Okay, following and imitating. So this is like anusaran and anukaran. No, these are two different words that are there. Following and imitating, no, are not on the same level. We cannot imitate the Lord by lifting Govardhan Hill as the Lord did in his childhood. It is impossible for any human being. We have to follow his instructions, but we may not imitate him at any point in time, at any time. The Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33, 30, and 31 affirms, Naitat samachare jatu manasapi hi anishwarah vinashyati acharan maudhyad maudhyad yatharudo yatharudro jam visham ishwaranam vacha satyam tataiva charitam kvachit tesham yatsva vacho yuktam buddhimam tat samachare. One should follow, one should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. One should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation of Lord Shiva. So here we see that, this very, very powerful persons and the Lord, they will do something really very great. We cannot just imitate them. We should follow in their footsteps. No, that's what is proper. And then we should always consider the position of the Ishwaras, or those who can actually control the movements of the sun and moon, as superior. Without such power, one cannot imitate the Ishwaras, who are super powerful. Lord Shiva drank poison to the extent of swallowing an ocean. But if any common man tries to drink even a fragment of such poison, he will be killed. There are many pseudo devotees of Lord Shiva who want to indulge in smoking ganja or marijuana and similar intoxicating drugs, forgetting that by so imitating the acts of the Lord Shiva, they are calling death very near. Similarly, there are some pseudo devotees of Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate Lord in his Rasa Leela or dance of love, forgetting their inability to lift Govardhan Hill. It is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow their instructions, nor should one try to occupy their post without qualification. There are so many incarnations of God without the power of Supreme Godhead. Okay? It's very nicely Prabhupada is putting that there are so many things which we cannot imitate the Supreme Lord, but the Lord gives this instruction, Bhagavad Gita, and then he also sets an example by himself by following these principles. So this is what we should follow, and what Krishna or Lord Shiva and all these personalities do as in their Ishvara position, that we cannot imitate. No, if we try to imitate, we will only get destroyed. Okay, text 25. Saktaha karmanya avidvamsho yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tata shaktas chikirshur loka sangraham. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. So here we see a very amazing instruction that comes, that the action in themselves is not to be given up. The attachment to the results is what is the problem. You know? So, like if we ask people living in family, is it a problem? Everybody should become a sadhu? No, living in family is not a problem. But thinking that everything that exists with me is for my enjoyment, that is problem. And no, everything that comes as a result of my work, it is meant for my enjoyment. That is the problem. So it is not that we should stop working. No, we should work according to the instructions given by the scriptures, and whatever result comes, we should utilize in the service of the Lord, because everything belongs to Him, right? So in this way, we should have this right understanding that attachment to the results is the problem. No, it's not the work that is problem; it's attachment to the result. So the common man, they are attached to the results and they are working. But people who are advanced, no, they should also work, but they should work according to the scriptures without attachment to the results, so that they can set a proper example for people in general. Okay, purport. A person in Krishna consciousness and a person not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not conducive, which is not conductive to devotional, to the development of Krishna consciousness. He may even act exactly like the ignorant person who's too much attached to material activities. But one is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of his sense gratification, whereas the other is engaged for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna conscious person is required to show the people how to act and how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Right? So this is something that we have to, an important lesson that we need to take, that we have to set an example for people in general, but then for ourselves, we have to work on getting detached from the results of our action. Text 26. Na buddhi vedam chanayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayat joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktaha samacharan. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So here we see that we should not, basically, we should not go and disrupt the minds of ignorant people, who are attached to the fruitive activities. For them, the results are very, very important. And a learned person, he should not induce them to stop the work. Oh, you're doing wrong work, you stop it. No, that is a very, very bad advice. Rather, no, they should be engaged in a lot of work, by teaching them proper spirit of work, and proper spirit of working in devotion. And he should, like, by engaging them in all sort of activities, they will develop in Krishna consciousness. So what are the all sort of activities? The service of Krishna, like basically a devotee will engage another person in service of the Lord only. He will not engage him in some material activities. So in that way, by more and more, as people get engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, so they become very, very solid and nice. Okay. Purport. Vedascha sarve rahameva vedyaha. That is the end of all Vedic rituals. All rituals, all performances of sacrifice, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all directions for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end, because they know only of sense gratification. And if you ask them, like, why do you want to read Vedas? They will say, okay, if I do that, maybe I'll get some good profit, I'll get some, good facilities and things like that. So their goal is sense gratification. So they approach even scriptures for getting sense gratification. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification, regulated by Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. So here we see the power of Vedic literatures. Even if they come to Krishna consciousness for the sake of enjoying, but still at the end, what happens is, they become Krishna conscious themselves. So even if they want to like come and take the like descriptions of the Vedic literatures for their sense gratification. Because they are dealing with Vedic scriptures, slowly, gradually, they come to the point of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but they should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. So we see that the moment people develop a little bit of faith in Krishna, so immediately we can actually engage them full time in the service of the Lord. And we don't need to wait for all the purificatory processes of the Vedic literatures. Okay, for this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. So this is a very nice statement. It says that actually speaking, Krishna consciousness is sufficient enough to handle all the pros and cons or all the um, no, it is perfect activity. Krishna consciousness is perfect activity. So there is no shortfall or shortage that is there that needs to be filled by some other process. No, it is not there. Krishna consciousness is the complete and perfect activity. And the prescribed duties may sometimes come on the way, or maybe like sometimes it is like people say that if a person is very highly elevated in Krishna consciousness, then he doesn't need to do all the other rituals. Like for example, Prahlad Maharaj, for him, Narsinghadev personally told, your father is delivered. No, not only your father, 21 generations are delivered. So he was mentioning all these things. And like then what is the purpose of following the Pindadan and things like that? But still Prahlad Maharaj did, just to set an example. But then it was not required because he was a great devotee. And Krishna consciousness is sufficient enough. No, everything that is necessary for in the form of prescribed duties, everything is fulfilled just by practicing Krishna consciousness, right? So here we see that a very advanced person, he may not follow, he doesn't need to follow, but then still he follows just to set an example. Text 27, it's very important sloka. We have quoted this multiple number of times. So prakritehe kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. So here the Lord says, the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So the living entity think that he is doing things, but actually everything is done by the three modes of nature. This sloka we have discussed many number of times in our reading sessions. So prakriti kriyamana, and so everything is done by the Lord's energies. We are just a witness. Even in the example that we took of the video game, so where a player of a video game, he is looking at the screen and he is playing, and everything is done by the program that is there within the device. And here the player, he's just sending his desires in the form of some button clicks, and then something happens on the screen, and he's crying. The person playing the video game is crying. So if somebody is asking like, why you are crying? Oh, I have lost. And then the other person may be illiterate, he's thinking that what have you lost? I have been seeing you, you are all right, and things like that. Suddenly, what did you lose? So then he says like, no, I failed, or I lost in this game. And maybe this person is a villager and old person, he doesn't know. Okay, I don't understand what is this game and things like that. But whatever has happened, it has happened within your device. And why are you sad about all those things? So that's the condition that we are also going on. So we are spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna. So just by taking this material body, which is made of flesh, bones, and different kind of things, and yeah, self-realized person will say, okay, whatever has happened, it has happened to your body. Like, why are you sad? No, that's how his outlook would be. Just like we may ask no, a child playing a video game. So we may tell that, okay, why are you sad for just a game? So the same thing, no, like Krishna consciousness and the great authorities in spiritual life, they are also asking, no, why are you being happy or lamenting for anything that is happening in this world? No, just be focused on pleasing Krishna, right? So that's amazing. So just a minute. So here actually, yeah, no, this is the way like the self-realized souls, they see people who are attached to this body and bodily connections and things like that. So, and they become very sad or happy by the material dealings, no? So, and that is what is mentioned in the sloka. So such people, people like us are called ahankara vimudatma. So a person who's having ahankar, that means he's falsely identifying himself with the body, ahankara. And then vimudatma, is like foolish living entity. Kartaham iti, no, kartaham iti, I am the doer, manyate. Like, no, he is believing that he is the doer. But actuality, prakriti kriyamanani. Prakriti is doing everything. Gunai karmani sarvasa. Three modes of nature, no, prakriti. That is what is doing everything. And we are just like a video game player. How all the thing is done by the program, and he is just pushing some buttons. So in the same way, we are pushing our buttons by the way of desires, and everything that is happening externally, it's all manifestation of Krishna's external energy. No, it's Krishna's material nature, Krishna's three modes of nature. That's what is working everywhere, right? So in this way, we can see that it's all done by the Supreme Lord through His different energies. When we are there in the material world, material energy will work, and when we are there in the spiritual energy will work. But always we have to be under one of the energies of the Lord. Okay, purport. Two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and another in material consciousness, working on the same level may appear to be working on same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his missions. Uh, he does not know that this gross and subtle bodies is the creation of material nature under the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. The ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesha, the master of the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So we see that because of sense gratification, because using our senses for long, long period in the process of sense gratification, so for us, this appears to be more real than Krishna consciousness. But actually, Krishna consciousness is more real than this artificial life that we are living in. Okay, so for due to his long misuse of the senses and sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. Text 28. Tattvavittu mahabhago guna karma vibhagayos guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty arm, does not engage in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work and devotion and work for fruitive results. Here we see that no person, no one who is in the knowledge of absolute truth, he does not engage in sense gratification. No, rather he works renouncing the, giving up fruitive results, and he would work in that kind of high standard of work. Okay. Purport: the knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. So that means the knower of absolute truth means we, the living entities, if we have come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, so then it is like the knower of absolute truth. So is convinced of his awkward position in the material position. So like material association. So it is like more and more we become pure devotees of Lord. We feel a little bit awkward saying that I have given so much of pain to the Lord. I should have listened to the Lord much earlier. No, I just simply wasted my time, and then in this process, like I've not been able to attain Krishna. I have not been able to be happy in this material world also. So then, in that kind of regret, he takes up to Krishna consciousness more seriously. That I must perform Krishna consciousness. I must, get the Krishna prema or the highest abode in the like or the highest perfection. No, actually, no, we should get it. So that is the no, that's the path that we need to take. Okay, so purport: the knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position, and no, and he knows that he is part and parcel of the supreme um, personality of Godhead Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material creation. He knows his real identity as part and parcel of the Supreme, who is eternal bliss and knowledge. And he realizes that somehow or other he is entrapped in the material conception of life. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in pure devotional service or in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reactions, which he considers to be the mercy of the Lord. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in three different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavit. For he knows also his own factual position in relationship with the Supreme Personal, in relationship with the Supreme Lord. Okay, so here we see that this very wonderful sloka that a person who's trying to engage and progress in Krishna consciousness, he knows his position. He is stuck in this material world, and he also knows that how great the devotional service is, and he engages in the devotional service. And at the time, he knows that he is contaminated, and he has to change. He has to progress, right? And naturally, by engaging in Krishna consciousness over a period of time, we purify our existence, and then we progress in that way, in a nice way, right? Okay, so here I just pause today's discussion, and then Srila Prabhupada ki jai.